Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I'll be talking about In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash by Jean Shepherd. I assume that's Jean Shepherd and not Jean Shepherd. Obviously, on my Kindle. And this was a book that it was kind of an impulse buy on Kindle. I guess a lot of things that I'm going to be getting on Kindle are probably going to be impulse buys. But look, I know that there's a lot of dog hair on. I just got some loves from Sammy, our bulldog, and it's all over my shirt. And I'm sorry. And I know that my beard's just kind of wild. It's just, I'm in my PJs. This is a book that kind of feels like you can review it in PJs. Why? This is the book that inspired A Christmas Story, the movie. I am going to do a book movie comparison video after this one, and I'm really going to try hard in this one to avoid comparing them. It's going to be hard, but I think it's doable. So this book, A Christmas Story came out in, I think, 1982 or 81 or 83. This book was published in 1966. It's set mostly, well, the stories mostly take place during the Depression in Homan, Indiana, which I believe is actually a fake place. I think it's Hammond, Indiana. But what is basically happening in this book is Ralphie, is a writer in New York, and he's going back to Indiana to cover the locals of Indiana and what it's like to be in a mill town. And our fictional town, Homan, Indiana, is a mill town. Steel mills, Bessemer Steel, furnaces, just a lot of industrial kind of Rust Belt stuff. So he's there to interview people and figure out what it's like. He grew up there, but it's been a while. So he takes a cabin into town and he ends up at a bar. And the bar is Flick's Tavern. Flick is one of Ralph's friends, and I'm pretty sure he's in the movie. I think he's the kid with the beanie hat. Basically one of his best friends. So Ralph shows up at the bar and he just starts talking to Flick. And they basically, this book is a bunch of short stories, but it's not a short story book, if that makes sense. It's not just a bunch of unrelated short stories. It's Ralphie and Flick recounting things that happened while they were growing up in their past. It's basically them just having a stroll down memory lane. And there's really funny, this is such a funny book. It's 5 stars. It's so funny and so real. Even though there's a little forward kind of thing that says that it's all fake, it feels so real. And the way Jean Shepherd writes, you can imagine a kid writing this or recounting these stories from a kid's point of view, because there's so much detachment from numbers, time, like all these things that as adults you would like factor into what you're saying. There was one point where he's like, yeah, I worked a couple centuries one summer at the mill. Yeah, that's impossible. But some of the stuff he talks about, like playing right field in baseball, and it's so true what he says about right field. One of my favorite parts, he talks about sousaphones, and the way he trash talks tubas is hilarious and awesome and really feels like a band nerd kind of thing to do. There are things in this book that are in the movie. A lot of them are different. And this book is not just a Christmas period story. A lot of it happens in Christmas, but there's a lot of other times. And it's really just a bunch of stories of him growing up. Talking about fireworks, talking about Santa and Red Ryder BB gun, getting in a fight, girls trying to date, the leg lamp, just there's all these references that you'll get from the movie, but in no way would reading this book ruin the movie, and in no way would you, having already seen the movie, ruin this book. This is just, it stands by itself. It's so good. I loved it. And I need to find part of it just to give you an idea of what kind of writing it is, because so this is going to be about, it's in the chapter Wilbur Duckworth and his magic baton, I think. Yeah. This just gives you an idea of like the fun kind of discussion. He's talking about sousaphones because he played the sousaphone. And he talks about how irritating it is for people to say it's tuba, right? Which I was a trumpet player. I get it. We didn't have a marching band, so we had tubas. We didn't have sousaphones. And his defense of the sousaphone and attack on tubas is just awesome. There are many misconceptions, and this is page 184 in, I don't know if these correspond with the book page, but that's on my Kindle. There are many misconceptions which at the outset must be cleared up before we can proceed much further. Great confusion exists among the unwashed as to just what a sousaphone is. Few things are more continually irritating to a genuine sousaphone man than to have his instrument constantly called a tuba. A tuba is a weak, puny thing, fit only for mewling, puking babies and Guy Lombardo. Is that Guy Lombardo? The better to harass balding, middle-aged dancers. An upright instrument of startling ugliness and mooing, flatulent tone, the tuba has none of the grandeur, the scope, or the sweep of its massive, gentle, distant relation. That's like the stuff that is just common in this. It's just the way he takes these everyday issues and frames it in, I think the way kids approach a lot of things is in extremes, and like, this is the best thing ever. My dad was a real fireworks guy. Oh, this was the coolest house, most dramatic thing that ever happened. This is legendary. People still talk about it. Kids kind of have that approach to stuff, and once you get to be an adult, you're like, well, let's provide some context, understand the scale of what we're talking about here. It's much smaller than you realize. I'm not going to compare it to the movie, but if you watch A Christmas Story, the narrator for the movie is the author of this book, Gene Shepard. And the way he discusses things as the narrator in the movie is how a lot of this book reads. It's just funny and takes you back to, it was written in 1966, but it really takes you back to like the 30s and 40s. And I loved it. Like I had so much, I read it pretty quickly. I had so much fun with this book. And I cannot wait to do a kind of a comparison with the movie, because there are a lot of differences. I mean, outside of the fact that there are stories in here that don't appear in the movie, like his crush on one of his teachers in 6th grade. And because I think in the movie, I think they're in 2nd grade. But he has this crush in the 6th grade, and he writes this book report about a book that he finds in his dad's bedroom. And it's some kind of sexual story from Italy. I don't know if it's like something that everyone would know. I doubt it. But he writes it, and like, he doesn't know what a lot of the words mean and the way it's written. And his teacher is like, did you really read this book? Where did you get this book? Where did you get it? And he gets worried and tries to back out of it. And eventually it comes down to like, yeah, he took it from his parents' room. And she's like, don't ever do that. I won't tell them, but don't take stuff from their room. And did you read the whole thing? And he said, yeah, I read the whole book. I don't know if he did. I don't think he did. But he covers stuff that's still common or related to the way we live our lives. And he captures kind of the mundane in a way that's just so entertaining. And I was hoping this book would be like that, and it was, and then some. So I wanted to read this around Christmas, because we just had Christmas, and that a Christmas Story has been on TV like nonstop before Christmas. But it just felt like I should read this around that time. And it wasn't all Christmas. A lot of it, maybe 2/3 of it wasn't Christmas at all. But awesome. Just so good. And I may want to read his other stuff. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But this certainly left a good taste in my mouth. So, yeah. In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash by Jean Shepherd. Really, check it out. Like, check it. This is the kind of book that I might buy a hard copy for. Unfortunately, the one that I'm looking at is like $1,500. It's not signed. It's the first edition. I think that might be an outlier price. But this is the kind of book that I would like to have on my shelf, in my special shelves. So, thanks for being here today. I will talk to you later. Thanks.